sometimes it's just nice to go for a walk in the woods. What I normally do is I take my brew kit and I'll find a nice little spot, I'll sit, I'll have a brew and just soak up my surroundings. What I also like to do is take a little project with me or find something I can do while I'm actually out on the trail. And that's what we're going to look at today. Today we're going to have a look at making a wood wizard. Over the years I've shown this project to quite a few people. Normally they're people I know fairly well, and they're people that I know are used to handling knives and working with wood. They have a good knowledge of the various cuts and they have good safe working practices. This isn't a project really for a novice, because some of those cuts that we have to do on this require really good knife control and a lot of work using the point of the knife, and you're working very closely to your fingers. It's a great little project, and if you stay tuned right the way through to the end, I'll tell you a really nice little twist that one of the people that I showed how to do this years ago came back and told me he does, and I think it's really great. So stay tuned to the end to find out what that is. Now, as far as tools and materials, all you're going to need for this is your knife, a pencil, and a piece of ideally green wood, but it could be a piece of seasoned wood. You can either cut this on the trail while you're out, or cut it in advance and carry it with you. The size of the piece of wood doesn't really matter. I've made these as small as my little finger. I've made ones that have been carved into the tops of walking sticks. I even made, with a friend of mine, Luke, we made one that was about 18 foot tall and made from a whole tree, and we crafted it using axes. So the piece of wood can be any size you like. The actual finished product, well, you can use them for anything. I've used mine for everything from Christmas decorations for friends, prizes for competitions, even as an air freshener for the car. Once these are dried out, all you do is put a little eyelet in the top, hang them up in your car, and you just rub them with a bit of aromatherapy oil, and it's so much nicer and more personalised than one of those horrible magic tree things. So once you've got your piece of wood, we then need to think about the first job that we're going to do with it. Bang on time, it starts to rain. Ho hum. So first job that I need to do, I want to create an apex that runs right the way along the stick. To do that, I need to shave down to form two sides. So, holding one end of the stick and holding my knife in a good fist grip, I'm going to shave down the stick. Once I've done one end, I then turn my wood round, work on the other end. So I'm always cutting away from myself. So there's one flat surface. I'm now going to shave down that edge, and that will give me the apex that I'm looking for. Ideally that wants to be probably about a 90-degree angle. And there we go. So our 90-degree apex cut into our stick. The next job I'm going to do, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw 3 V's onto the apex, and they're sort of around the centre third of the stick. So it looks something like that. So the next thing we're going to do, we've drawn our V's on there, and what they are going to form is the apex of his hat, the end of his nose, and the top of the wizard's moustache. Using my knife, what I'm now going to do is put a little stop cut along each of those lines. So I'm going to push downwards, and for that it's best to work on the floor. So the fine carving starts, so glasses on. With my stop cuts done, what I'm then going to do is I'm going to choose one as my upper end, which is going to be this one here. So I have an upward facing V, a downward facing V, and then another upward facing V. These will form the brim of his hat, the bottom of his nose, and the top of his moustache. With the stop cuts done, what I'm now going to do is cut upwards towards that top stop cut. What you can see I've formed is the brim of the hat, and those channels are cut quite deeply. So next I'm going to look at where his nose is, and again I'm going to cut upwards towards that downward facing V. I'm not going to go all the way to the sides on this cut, I'm just going to concentrate it in the centre apex area, and that's going to form the tip of his nose. Like so. So there we are, there's the V which forms the base of the nose. And then I'm going to do the same thing again cutting upwards towards the bottom V, and that's going to form where his top of his moustache is. With that cut again, I'm not going to go all the way to the edge, I'm going to concentrate it in that centre area. And for this bit, you're using mostly the point of your knife. There we are. So we now have the brim of the hat, the tip of the nose, and just there we've now got where his moustache is. So next I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to draw lines from the base of the nose up to the brim of the hat, and these start wide and they gradually taper up, and that's going to form the bridge of his nose. Like that. Then using the tip of my knife, I'm going to go over those lines to form another stop cut. Then very carefully what I'm going to do is use the point of my knife and cut upwards along those lines towards where the brim of the hat is, and that will form his eye sockets. As you can see with some of these cuts, you're cutting towards yourself, so you have to be really careful to make sure you're cutting towards the stop cut and that you have good control of the knife. And there we are. We now have the nose and the eye sockets formed. So it's coming along quite well now. What I'm going to do next is very carefully draw in some lines down the side, and they're going to form the sideburns and where his moustache is. Again, we're going to need to cut up fairly tight to those lines, and we are going to be cutting towards ourselves, so we need to get good control of that knife and make sure our stop cuts are good and deep. There's not much more to do and he'll be finished. I need to put his eyes in, and all I'm going to do with those is just below the brim of the hat is draw two slanted lines. Put stop cuts on them and cut up to them. That will give us a little hollow, and then we just use the point of our pencil to form the eyes. And there he is, that's his face finished. With that done, what I'm then going to do is I'm going to shape the hat by shaving it up into a point, and then I'm going to just take a few little nicks out in various spots down the sides to make it look like wispy hair. There he is, done. I've shaped the hat, I've put a little fold over piece on the top, I've put little knocks out all the way down the sides to make it look like a sort of long shaggy beard, and you'll also notice I've put a point to the end of the beard as well. And that's our wizard just about finished. So there he is, all done. It'll take about 10, maybe 15 minutes to do, but they're quite a lot of fun. It's just enough time for me to drink my cup of tea. With him done, I guess, well, I should pack up, think about moving back on with my walk. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed seeing how to do these. As I said, over the years I've taught quite a few people how to do these, and they really are a really good bit of fun to do. They also make lovely presents. Let me know how you get on with yours, and if you enjoyed the video, then obviously share it, like it, ideally subscribe to our channel, and above all, till next time, stay safe. There was one other thing. As I said right at the beginning, there's a little twist to these. Somebody that I taught to make these years ago, a guy called Mr. Lenton, I saw him a year later, exactly a year later. We were on a job together, and I asked him how he was getting on with these little wizards, and he said they're great. He said when I go for a walk, I sit out in the woods and I carve these, and when I leave it pushed in the ground for the next person who comes along just to find. And I thought, what a lovely thing to do. So if you're out in the woods and you're having a go at carving one of these, then maybe leave it for the next person to find. Might be another grown-up, might be another kid. Whoever it is, finding this will make their day. I'm Neil, and until next time, stay safe.